Welcome to the Plays with Cars YouTube channel, where we answer this or that. This is our 2011 Audi A4 Quattro 2-liter turbo 6-speed manual. It is a B8 generation, and it is our third A4 project car. If you go into our list in the description below, you can see all the videos for our B6, B7, and B8 A4 Quattro project cars. Now, we've had this one for about a year. Really like it, but we just picked up that. That is also a 2011 Audi, but this one is an S4. So today we are going to look at the differences and similarities between these two cars and tell you which one you should get and why. Do you want the fuel mileage and highway manners of the 2-liter turbo, or do you want the power of the S4? So first things first, let's talk about what's similar between these cars. They are both on the Audi B8 chassis. In fact, these two are identical. They are both 2011, so we are comparing apples to apples here. They are both Premium Plus trim levels, and we'll get into that in a little bit when we talk about the interiors. So this is about as equal as you can get. Now, of course, the big thing to talk about here is price. You can pick up an A4 like this, nice one, for around 10 grand, just about anywhere in the country. The S4 runs more like 20 to 25. So is this really worth 2 to 2.5 times the amount of money as the A4? And the answer is it depends, especially if you're looking at a modified A4 such as this one. You can see we've got the front mount intercooler in there. It's been lowered, a whole bunch of other stuff done to it. These cars are, of course, tuners' dreams. You can do all sorts of fun stuff to them, and they do go faster and perform better. So why not buy one of those and throw some parts at it as time allows instead of one of those? Well, it comes down to some fundamentals, and the big thing is the powertrain. Lovely assistant, would you like to open the hoods for us? And we will take a look at the major difference here. Now, the A4, of course, is powered by a 2-liter inline 4. It is turbocharged and intercooled, dual overhead cam. The S4 here is powered by a 3-liter V6 dual overhead cam with a supercharger. This is a Roots type supercharger. You see here we could pull this cover off, and there's the blower snout and the belt. So it is positive displacement. It means instant torque. When you press the go pedal on this car, it goes right now. They are rated at 333 horsepower from the factory, and obviously there are mods galore to these to go even faster than that. This car is pretty much completely stone stock, as you can see, but you can obviously do air intake upgrades, smaller pulley on the supercharger, tunes, all sorts of fun things. So that one's stock configuration, 333 horsepower. This one with the 2-liter turbo, which if you've watched our channels in this car at all, you have seen this many times as we've worked on it. They are a good engine. These, however, are not as good as they were in the B7. They have oil consumption issues and things like that, and we've had to do a lot of work to get over that with this car. The big thing being updating all of this, the air oil separator system and the PCV system with B8.5 parts, which is pretty involved. You have to change the crank seal and do a tune to the car and a bunch of other stuff. But changing the weight of oil to a 10W40 helped immensely and got it to where it needed to be. Now, that being said, this motor is modified. You can see it has the ECS front mount intercooler kit. It's got a whole bunch of other stuff done to it. Down in here you can see there are some sensors and some more pieces and auxiliary parts put on to support this engine. It is tuned. These are, what, 217? I think 217 horsepower stock. This one probably makes a little more because of the front mount intercooler, and of course they can make a lot more. You can do turbocharger upgrades on them, putting on a KO5 or even bigger, and really tune them to the moon and make as much power as that one makes. But should you? At the end of the day, this engine is already overstressed from the factory. It's part of the reason why it has the oiling issues. Audi tries to pump so much power out of these and yet still meet emissions that there's just a lot going on. You can see all of the emissions equipment on this. They are direct injected. Lots of things for such a little motor. This motor, however, is understressed. Because of the positive displacement blower, it acts like a much larger engine without needing a bunch of PSI to it. So that's the amount of air actually put into the motor These run a lot lower boost than the 2 liters do, and as such, they're much more under stressed than the 2 liters. So you can tune that car to the moon, but it's still not going to be as powerful as this one stock, and you can tune this one too if you're into that kind of thing. So really it comes down to, do you want a rocket ship, or do you want something that's going to get 30 miles to the gallon, which is possible with the 6-speed manual and the A4. So really it comes down to, what's your budget and what do you want? If you can afford the S4 and you want the power, get it. There is no comparison. Even a really tuned up A4 just isn't going to run like the S4 does. It's not going to have that instant torque from down low. It's not going to just power you out of the corners. It's just not the same car, even though it's the same car. Now, if you're just going to bomb up and down the highway all day and you need something that kind of gets good gas mileage, and you still want to be cool and you still want to have a little bit of fun, I can recommend the A4. They're really, really good for that. We've put, over 50,000 miles in between the 3 different A4s that we've had, all 4-cylinder turbos, and we really like them. They are good cars. I don't want to talk bad about them, but it's a different car for a different thing here. The A4, great highway cruiser if you want gas mileage, but if you want to blow down the interstate like it's the Autobahn, this is what you want. Now, the other big thing we want to talk about with these, and this is all Audis in general, regardless of which one you're buying, is the trim spec. Now, a lot of people get caught up in, is it premium, is it premium plus, is it prestige? That doesn't matter as much as options, as we've figured out. So our B7 A4 Dose had a technology package in it that had a whole lot of options, and because of that, we didn't really quite understand the differences between Audi interiors and stuff. So when we picked this car up, we thought it was loaded, then we got in it, and it's really not. So this A4 here has no navigation, so the Audi MMI control button is here in the center stack. You can see this one is modified with the boost gauge and stuff, but you can see there's just not a whole lot going on down here. You've got a traction control off button, and that's about it. Up here you've got radio controls and the little MMI screen. You also get kind of this brushed looking trim. Full leather, but they're just regular seats. They're not high bolstered or anything like that. Kind of a regular steering wheel. I mean, it's a nice enough place to spend time, don't get me wrong. This car is the same trim level, but it has different options. So the biggest difference, obviously, is the Audi S4 comes with these sport seats with these great big bolsters on them. This particular one is Alcantara, and it is a two-tone. It is a black and light gray two-tone. This is also a 6-speed manual car, but you can see this one has the navigation. So same screen up here, but way different functions, and the functionality is in the switch down here. This car also has, much more important, the Audi Drive Select. The Drive Select allows you to adjust the suspension and the drivetrain on the fly. The steering, the throttle response, and the Sport Diff. The Sport Diff is the rear differential, and you can actually feel it. All the internet hype is real. The Sport Diff changes this car. I wouldn't buy an S4 without a Sport Diff. We test drove a bunch of these before buying this one, and the Sport Diff makes all the difference in the world. So if you really want your Audi to be a nice place to be or a nice place to drive, you should look for one that is as fully optioned as possible. The trim doesn't matter, the options matter. You want the Sport Diff, you want the Drive Select, you want that suspension that can go from dynamic to comfort, the flip of a button. That's what you really want when it comes to Audis. So whether you're going to shop the A4 or the S4, really be mindful of that, because there are a lot of them out there that are like our A4 that are just kind of ho-hum, and you're not going to get that experience that you would otherwise with things like the Drive Select, the Alcantara, the nicer interior. So that being said, which should you get, this or that? The S4, we feel, is worth every penny more than the A4. It really, really is. And again, we loved our A4s. I'm not saying they're bad cars. They're great cars. If that's all your budget allows, or you really just need the fuel mileage, or maybe like you're not really into going that fast or having something that powerful. You just want something that's comfortable and has a lot of options, is a nice cruiser. By all means, get the A4. They're great cars. If you're into power, if you're into performance cars at all, even a modded A4 doesn't hold a candle to an S4. You really want the supercharged V6. And again, get the Sport Diff, look for the Drive Select. It changes everything about the car. Anything to add?
I love it.
Get a color too. That's another thing. I don't know if you noticed. This car is deep sea blue. Is that the color? Deep sea blue pearl. And it has some super awesome coloring in it. And you see here on these close-up shots, and this car isn't even detailed yet. This is like off the transporter. And it's got all these metallic little green flakes and stuff in there you can see. The silver glows. It's all right. Don't get me wrong. It's all right. But it's still silver. Every Audi is silver, gray, or black. So if you can get an Audi that's not silver, gray, or black, do it. Same thing with the interior. The all-black interior is just kind of a black interior. Having the Oreo cookie look, the black and gray, is really cool. So that's definitely our tips. When you are Audi shopping, look at the options. Make sure it's got what you're looking for. Try to find one in a color if you want. But really, it comes down to those individual options and then asking yourself, what's more important? Do you want power, absolute power that corrupts? Or do you want some fuel mileage? Do you want to maybe have some more options on tuning and individualizing? But still, at the end of the day, you're going to get a great car. Either way, it's just different cars for different reasons. So no bad choices here between this or that. But I can tell you that this is for sale. Contact us if you want to buy it. We might be putting it up online on a website or something like that. We'll see. But it is for sale. We're going to be selling our A4 because that is what we are choosing here at the Plays with Cars YouTube channel.